Hello all, welcome back to our course on digital accessibility. And in the previous sessions, we spoke about how testing and manual testing with screen readers is an important pillar of evaluation and accessibility testing for any new product or even existing products. And hence today we will kind of try to deep dive into screen readers and tips for testing manually with screen readers. So let us start at what is a screen reader. Okay, so a screen reader is basically an assistive technology that converts digital text and interface elements into synthesized speech or refreshable braille output. So it's an automated synthesized audio speech, and I'm sure you might have, so far we have mentioned a lot about, talked a lot about NVIDIA and JAWS and other text to speech accessibility tools on your mobile phone, which is called talkback or voiceover in iOS. So I'm sure you might have explored it a little bit by now, and you might have some idea about what a screen reader is. So now, from a development and quality assessment or evaluation perspective, when we are testing with screen readers, what are the nuances that we have to look at, and how if some kind of error is occurring and we are able to pinpoint those errors, what are the different ways to try to correct it, or how we can make sure that a screen reader will be able to access the different levels of the code, the architecture, read out the labels correctly, alt text and all of those correctly from our code, from our developed product in a much better fashion. So let us try to understand that. So what is the key purpose of a screen reader? It's that it enables people who are blind or who might have low vision to access and navigate digital content independently. And how it works is it reads content sequentially from top to bottom. We will kind of dive into what is the meaning of top to bottom, what is the meaning of hierarchy, and what is the meaning of labels and labeled hierarchy. It interprets semantic HTML structure and ARIA labels and reads out those labels accordingly. It announces interactive elements, buttons and links and form fields, etc. in an audio format. So persons who are who have blindness or who have low vision, they know that these are interactive elements, and I have to perform a certain action. It uses keyboard as the primary input source or interactive source, and keyboard shortcuts for efficient navigation. Most commonly used next for going to the next label is tab key. So there's a popular analogy when we talk about screen readers is, think of it as an audio GPS for the web, right? So which guides the users through content as they are unable to see it. So we have already spoken about these different companies and different products which are commonly known when it comes to screen readers, and JAWS is one of the highly used in enterprise testing in companies and organizations, and it costs somewhere around a lakh for a license, and it is also used on platform Windows. Then the other popularly used screen reader is NVDA, which is free. Again, it can be used on your Windows PC, and it also is a very good competitor to JAWS, and it is very useful for daily development and real-time evaluation. Then there is voiceover, again, which is free. It is part of your Mac iOS as part of the OS, it's part of the setting itself. You can try to just enable it on your iPhone or your MacBook, and it will just start working. And it's part of the Apple ecosystem. Talkback is also free. You don't have to pay anything. This is part of the Android ecosystem, and it's globally used by most Android users. So the reality check that each screen reader behaves differently. Each announces the content in unique ways. Testing with one doesn't mean that your product will be accessible through all screen readers. This is an unfortunate truth, actually. Ideally, one would think that since we are making guidelines and benchmarks for developers, there should also be guidelines and benchmarks for assistive technology development. So people who are developing screen readers, they should also refer to a common guideline or checklist where they can ensure that, okay, if this is the kind of label, it is how it should be read out. But unfortunately, there are some discrepancies and there are some differences between all of these four. And thus, it becomes, as a developer and as a product innovator, it becomes our responsibility to make sure that we are testing with multiple screen readers based on the target user group of our product. So it is assumed that at a minimum level, you are doing NVDA, which is a PC, free for PC screen reader, plus VoiceOver, which is free for iOS uh, uh, screen reader, both free, and you are doing that. Then recommended is that you add JAWS or TalkBack. And the professional level, if it is you are part of an industry, you are rolling out a global product, then it is advisable that you test all four. So ideally, what we are saying is that you test with one PC version, which is your NVDA, and one mobile version. It can be either TalkBack or it can be a VoiceOver, and all of these three are free, and then you can go on to add JAWS or TalkBack. So three are great, but professionally all four should be used. So what screen readers actually experience? So your visual design, you might have put like this is just a script where there's a class hero, then product GPG, then there is, so sighted users are seeing that there is a beautiful hero, clear CTA, easy purchase. Screen reader hears group, image, clickable, all of these tags which are coming. Translation, something exists, no idea what or why. So it is very important that even when we are building a good visual design and visual navigation, we have to be careful about um, what is the tag, what is the call to action, right? So here basically it is indicating a button which says buy now, and there is a product image basically, and then there is a button which has a clear call to action and all of that, but then the screen reader is not able to read all of that. So the tagging and the labeling has to be done wisely. So what screen readers will actually experience? So alt text helps screen readers read visual content. So for example, there is an image without alt text, then it is reading, then it is announcing that it is IMG_1234, which is the name of the image. But if there is an alt text, then it says airplane landing, the image. So the problem may be that missing alt text or non-semantic buttons, no accessible naming. How we can fix it? That we can use appropriate ARIA labels, we can use appropriate alt text, and then we can add the button after that. So here you might have seen that the product does not, there is no alt text. So how screen readers actually navigate through your code? So screen reader navigation can be via shortcuts. Users can navigate through the following: um, headings, lists, menus, buttons, links, skip links, table graph, etc., and more using keyboard shortcuts. So one of the primary method is sequential reading. So the tab key, as we mentioned earlier, this is the most commonly used method where the tab key is pressed multiple times. So tab key moves through the interactive elements one at a time based on the architecture of the developed code. Arrow keys read line by line or word by word. So the arrow keys which are there on your keyboard. And this method is best for consuming long form content because then you are able to navigate through the written body text line by line or word by word. Then there can be landmark navigation. So jump between page regions, which is like your body text is divided into header, navigation, main, footer, heading levels create document outline, H1, H2, H3. So it is able to tell you. So it's like an annotated body text. It's not where you want to consume the entire long form content. Probably it's not, it's just adding a lot of cognitive elements to it. But for example, long form content can be like a novel or a textbook where you want to read longer chunks of text. So, but there may be in kinds of interactions where you would like to jump between tables, and then there are more elements which have a different layout. Say it has lists, tables, forms, etc. So, key insight is that readers don't read every word. They scan using a structure, just like sighted users scan visually, right? So this kind of a method can only be useful with long form content, which is your novel, etc., but or a blog if we are talking about blogs or articles, etc. But for any website or web based interfaces, this is the method which is your landmark navigation method, which is more ideal, more appropriate. So then there are some essential screen reader shortcuts, which are both which are there in both NVDA and JAWS. So NVDA, control to turn on or off. You can just turn it on or turn it off using control. Then H is for next heading, moving to next heading. K and L is next and previous links. B is next button. F is next form field. T is next table. D is next landmark. For mobile based other iOS based, there may be some other shortcuts. So C, command F5 to turn it on off. VO plus right left, which are your arrow keys to navigate through elements. VO plus U, rotor menu, headings, links, landmarks. VO plus A, read from the current position. So the design implication is that if you are designing for these two kinds of interfaces, we have to think of both of the things. So headings are part of the navigation system and not just styling. So I think what we are seeing is that the screen readers, both kinds, are using headings as an important landmark. So it is not just a form of styling. You're not just exploring different forms, fonts or colors or sizes, but we are also making sure that in the code they are labeled as different headings correctly. Then make sure that you add landmarks and map of your page. The overall architecture should be mapped out, keeping all of this in mind. That say, if I keep pressing button B again and again, I am able to, the screen reader is able to jump from one button to other. For that, the labeling has to be like that in the code itself. Link text, so wayfinding signages, so all of that we have to make sure that we add. So the point is that if there are no headings, there is no efficient way to navigate. So make sure that you think about the headings most definitely when you are creating your website or digital product architecture. So what you can do if you are in the midst of developing a product is that do a 5-minute screen reader test, right? So you how you do it, that numbered step with time allocation. So step 1 is 1 minute, first 1 minute tab through the page, right? Your if you have developed a web page, just keep pressing tab and see what are the interactive elements you are able to reach. Are there any keyboard traps that you are falling into? Do that for 1 minute. Then step 2, another this minute 2, navigate all headings by using the H key. And does the heading structure make sense? Is it proceeding in the hierarchical manner that you might have thought about, or are there any levels getting skipped? Then in the following third minute, you test the forms. If there are the labels announced, are the messages clear? Then jump to step 4, jump between landmarks using the D key. Can you move efficiently between page sections and page landmarks? Then try to trigger dynamic content. So are updates announced? Can you access new content? All of those things. This quick test almost catches 70% of the common issues. So all of this kind of a test can be an ongoing part of the development process itself, whether you are developing a simple website or you are developing a digital product. Then you can go on to do a 15-minute deep analysis, where you start with your downloading your NVDA, right? And download it, you install it, and then launch. It says NVDA started. So what can be the protocol for this 15-minute deep test? So now you are able to experience what blind users are experiencing. So do these tests and take 15 minutes with your product. So test 1 is heading navigation. Open your website, press H repeatedly. Can you understand page structure from headings alone? Test 2, landmark navigation. Press D for landmarks. Are navigation, main, footer clearly labeled or not? Test 3 for the next 5 minutes. Form testing. Press F for form fields. Is every field labeled or not? Do you know what to enter? Is the signifier of the form field being announced by the screen reader or not? Then for the next 3 minutes, it can be the link context. So whether the links, the hyperlinks mentioned on your website, they have any alt text or not? Does the link make any sense? Are they labeled correctly? Or it is just the signifier says click here. So make sure of that it has semantic labels. Then test 5 is image description. So it can again go on for another 2 to 3 minutes. Are the images described meaningfully? Are decorative images silent? So make sure all of that you are able to do in this 15-minute deep test protocol. So what you will discover after this test is that button with no label or image with no description or edit with no context, if all of these are in double quotes, that means you are able to hear these words button or image with no alt text and then edit and all of that. So you will be able to understand that how people are supposed to make sense out of this information, if it is just telling you to edit or if it is just announcing link, the word link, if it is just announcing the word button. How are they able to navigate through this website? They will not be able to, right? So and that basically excludes these set of users, and as our intent is to include as many users as possible, so that intent kind of goes out of the window. So now let us try to understand. So in this part we are again speaking with a lot of emphasis on is that landmark based navigation is very important, and whether your headings make sense or not, or the sequence of the headings, the structure makes sense or not, that we'll try to understand. So what is a heading hierarchy? Right, heading hierarchy mean that there is a main heading, there's a subheading, there's a subheading, and then all of these labels, h1, h2, which are already there in your h3, h4, which are already part of your css html code, right? So what the designers do, they put these labels. So where it says welcome to our site, h3 our client services, our services, h5, because when you're visually seeing probably h2, the size, so this division is already there. There is an h2, there is a well defined size, the font type and everything with h2, for example. But then when you put h2 on the screen, it is looking very big for your expectations. So then you, okay, let's change it to h3. So now it looks visually better. Or for example, contact us, now h5, you are using h5 directly after h3. So because h5 is offering the right size of the font or more appropriate visual size of the font, but in this process you are jumping from h1 to h3 to h5, which will make it a disaster for screen reader to access this architecture. So h5 looks better than h2 for this section, or h3 looks better visually. So what screen reader uses here is press h to navigate, right? So it reads heading level 1, welcome to our site. Then as if it they press h again, it reads heading level 3, our services. They might question where's level 2. They might think they might have skipped it. Then again they press h, it reads heading level 5, contact us. Again it says skip, they might think they have skipped level 4. So the user reaction is this a subsection, where am I in the structure? It's very difficult to grasp and make sense out of this structure if in between levels are missing. So the correct structure is that we have to use h1, h2, h2, all of that, and it is always not in terms of the visuals but also in terms of the hierarchy and importance. So and then you can add style with css, right? Don't mess with the html hierarchy which is already there. So there you can define H2, the font size is 14px, right? So there may be some default number which is associated with H2, which you can define in your CSS style sheet, right? H5, here we are saying font size. Style is not the same as structure, right? So here I can also define H5 as a bigger font, but because the semantic meaning of that heading is in terms of the subheading of something, always use H5. It can be a 20px also, right? Depends on your visual requirement. So what the rule here is that the HTML defines structure, CSS defines the style. Please ensure that you're not mixing the two. This is a very common error which designers and developers make because they don't want to go into the CSS and styling part. But it is not that difficult. You can just define the labels and the visual appearances of those labels. Make sure you don't mix the two.